Right, I want to talk about Seagate. I'm sure many of you know all about Seagate, or maybe have worked in it, or loved ones or friends. The American-owned tech business has announced a major investment. When I saw Seagate jobs, I thought, oh no, not more job losses. It's the opposite. It's an investment of 115 million in research and development at its local factory. Springtown, of course, Disk Drive, clever name for a road. The move will also lead to the creation of about 30 jobs at the facility. The First and Deputy First Ministers, as well as the Economy Minister, were at the plant and have warmly welcomed it. They've said a 100 million investment, 15 million support from Invest NI, by the way, who have often been criticised down the years. Again, west of the band, where's their investment? Well, there it is, 15 million. It'll be used for research and development over the next 5 years, seen as crucial for a company at the cutting edge of developing new tech for the home and business sector. We want to run the detail of this one past Professor Kevin Curran from the Ulster University at Magee, and a regular on this programme. Kevin, a pleasure and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mark.
Well, it's a vote of confidence in a word, Kevin, isn't it?
Oh, exactly. But I mean, Seagate have invested up to 4 billion so far, and it is one of the most advanced fabrication sites in the UK. You know, we just take for granted, but 25% of the world's recording heads are produced in Springtown. And they make one component for hard drives, and that is a recording head, smaller than a grain of rice. I mean, on one 8-inch platter, they produce 100,000 heads.
Gosh.
So it's hard to get your head around the scale. They're at the nanometer scale, and a nanometer is 1,000th of a millionth of a meter.
So, Kevin, what is that? Forgive me. What is that wee head the size of a grain of rice? What does it do when you push record on your console in the house? Or what is the function in our daily lives that Springtown creates?
Yeah, so a hard drive has a number of platters, like records for one inside and they're spinning at 15,000 RPM, and that's 250 times a second. It goes around in a circle. But in between each platter, like you said, disks within a hard drive, is a head, a recording head, and that reads and writes to the magnetic surface. Again, and it's at such a low scale. If you were to expand the Earth up, it would be 1 centimeter above the Earth's surface. The scale is incredible.
And what is which household consoles? Forgive my ignorance. Are these in? Are these in? Because I thought disk drive was like compact discs, DVDs and stuff. It's not, Kevin. Which gadgets is this stuff in?
Well, traditionally all our desktops, and our laptops would have had them, but now they've kind of changed to kind of solid-state drives that don't have a moving head.
Right.
But still, the data centers of the world hold up to 175 billion terabytes again. So all the AI, the data centers, the cloud, everything else, they mostly use the hard drives where the heads are, which again record and read from the surface, are produced by Seagate because it's more efficient, it's cheaper for them to do that, and of course, it costs, scales of economy. So therefore, most of the data centers again in the world use solid hard drives that are used, and Seagate are one of the only 3 manufacturers in the world. Western Digital, Toshiba, and Seagate have 40% of the market again. So generally, for a long, long time, again, more of the data and most of the data in the world is stored in data centers.
So, and you're saying a third of the world's of those little heads, that technology, which might be superseded by non-moving technology, but as things stand, a third of them are made in Springtown in the world.
Yes, for many years, and they're shipped when the heads again. So you have an 8-inch platter, just like a large record, and on there are about 100,000 heads. Again, each of those heads again, or obviously, will be taken out there and go into one particular hard drive again, and that assembly is done in Malaysia. So again, Springtown produces the wafers again. There's about 1,800 steps in the process to get one of those wafers. 1,800 steps. So that's why everything has to be perfect again. If something goes wrong at one of those steps, that wafer is useless again.
Gotcha,
and we're talking a lot of money for each wafer again. So that's why it's funny. I don't like bonfires for one reason. It's nothing to do with politics, because both sides have bonfires. But I know a smoke molecule can ruin the process. So I don't, because they have to filter out. They have the cleanest clean room in Ireland is in Springtown. Again, so that's why I don't like anything in the air which pollutes.
Because, right, okay. That's a most interesting tangent. 30 jobs, Kevin, which is brilliant. Seagate on Buncrana Road, Springtown, opened in 93, currently employs 1,500 people. It's absolutely huge. And Kevin, I'm not wishing this, but your analysis begs the question. What happens when the moving heads that we make so well, what happens when computers then outgrow those to the non-moving heads that you've touched on there? Do Seagate get better then and change and make the new ones, or do you worry about a road coming to an end? Do you get me?
Yeah, absolutely. But no, Seagate are well aware of this again. So that's why they're investing, because they know the future is in heat-assisted magnetic recording. So basically, again, these are even smaller heads than that. In other words, that they actually heat up the actual magnetic surface before they ride, and it's cooled within an instant of a second again. So they know what they're doing, and of course, that's where photonics come in. And Ulster University, along with Atlantic Technology University, have the Sphere Centre again, which is £8 million funding, and we're working with Seagate on this because we have experts in photonics and semiconductors as well. So, in other words, it's hard to believe. It's a nanosecond, a billionth of a second, that these new heads will literally heat up the surface beneath it, and ride to it, and cool it. Again, that doubles the capacity of hard disks at the moment, and people couldn't get their heads around how much information you can get onto a small surface.
I got you. And we know it's ups and downs. I mean, in 2024, the company said it had cut almost 300 jobs with voluntary redundancy. So these things come and go, tides coming in and out. That's the way tech and the modern world works. But Kevin, you've almost answered what I thought was the most important question here about why, for their investors, it makes sense to stay in Derry when so much of the tech seems to be either coming back to America or going to cheaper countries the way textiles did. But I think you've almost answered that question by default. There are people working in Springtown, then there must be, who are the very best in the world at this stuff. You don't just transport that to, Bangladesh or somewhere in Asia.
No, you don't. And also, they have put in such an investment into it. And remember, it was John Hume meeting the VP in a bar in Los Angeles and spotted that Brendan Hegarty had an Irish name, and that was the catalyst for Seagate coming here to Derry. But the reason it won't move, look at it, we're not in an earthquake. We don't have any seismic activity. That's very, very important. These fabrication sites have to be built also on the soil in Springtown is very solid as well. You cannot have vibrations again. We don't have much vibrations in Derry because we're not a big industrial centre. So these things are very important because all of that can affect one of the steps in the process again. We don't have tsunamis here. We don't have any floods that we know of in Springtown that will subside it. Politically, we're quite stable. All these factors would make it just a no-brainer for Seagate to retain the facilities here.
And I know I'm throwing you a penalty kick. And a university literally 600 yards up the road, specialising with people like you and teaching young adults in particular to be brilliant at this and world-class. And guess what? The world-class place for this technology is, look, it's out the window there in this drive in Springtown.
It is indeed, and we worked with Seagate. We PhDs there for many years again. We have a great partnership with them again. So, of course, And again, Invest and I have also played a big part in inward investment as well.
Yes, and they've been acknowledged with the 15 million of this. Kevin, a brilliant analysis, if I may say. You would never have known that being earthquake friendly or even having concerns about airports or bonfires for that matter would be important to micro or nano or photonic science, but it so clearly is. Professor Kevin Curran there from the Ulster University at McGee. A very busy programme, folks.